This week I want to talk to you about what to do when a lie you're being told has a real ring of truth to it. Hi, I'm Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. What do you do when the lie that you're being told has a ring of truth? You honestly just cannot tell, is this the truth or a lie? I'm going to give you two case studies today to explain to you in more detail exactly what to do. But the bottom line is, when you have a lie like this that just seems very credible, you're going to have to dig and get additional information, and that's the key point there. Get additional information. Now I'm going to give you two real-life case studies that I have worked through and share with you how I did that in each case. The first one was pre-employment screening. It was a background check, and the employer had a candidate that they liked. They interviewed. He was a good interview. Everything was working very well. He was very upfront with them though and told them, look, when you run a background check, you're going to come back with a conviction for assault. I've been convicted of assault. That's going to show up there. And what he said was, he was in a bar, and a couple of guys began to pick on a gay man in the bar, and he stood up, got between the two guys and the gay man, and ended up defending the gay guy, protecting him, but he got into a fight. The police arrived, and he was the guy who ended up getting charged with assault out of this. All right. So here's the situation you have. You're going to have a conviction come up with the assault. Is he telling the truth or is he telling a lie? If he's telling the truth, then he's a victim of bad circumstance. And be honest with you, either you or I could find ourselves in that circumstance if we're the type of people who protect others. And if you're watching this, you probably are that type of person. So you either have this hero here, or you've got someone with something else going on. It's exactly the type of person you want to bring into your work environment. In a sense, if he's telling the truth, and if he's lying, you got to find out what the truth is. He's probably somebody you don't want around in your work environment. In fact, if it's a lie, regardless of what else is going on, this is not somebody you want to bring into your organization. My client, who used me regularly for these pre-employment screenings, gave me a heads up to this. And while I did charge a little extra than I did for my normal pre-employment screening packages, I went ahead and did the extra investigative work to find out what the deal was. And it was very, very simple work. And this is something you should take to heart. If you followed me for any length of time, you're going to hear me say it. You got to go down to the courthouse and pull the files. And that's exactly what I did. I went down, I pulled the files for this case and read it all. Not just the complaint against him, which was for assault, but the officers' narratives, the officers that showed up, those were in there as well. In my area, what we call an arrest information sheet was in there. Come to find out, can you guess which way this went? Come to find out, the guy was lying. The problem is, it seems so credible because that was exactly the circumstance that happened. What the story he told was real and true. So it sounded very truthful, and it had the details and the accuracy. The problem was, he was not the guy defending the bystander, the gay man. He was one of the guys who was hassling the gay man. So clearly this is not somebody that you want to bring into your work organization. He has this conviction for assault. Arguably nowadays it would be called a hate crime. He's lying to you in the interview. He must have some sort of temper or other problem, maybe a drinking issue. Who knows? Who knows what the problem is with this guy? But the fact is, he's not even owning up to what it was. And believe me, you know me, I'm all about giving people second chances. I'm about helping out ex-convicts as best you can. I think there's a lot of people that get a raw deal in the whole court system. I don't even call it the criminal justice system. I don't know how much justice is really coming out of it. I call it the court system. So I'm sympathetic on both sides of this. But the point of the story is, the client hired me to find the truth, and that's what your job is as an investigator. And doing a little bit deeper digging, not sitting behind a computer, but going out and actually doing the work, I came up with a very clear, documentable truth My client was very happy. Of course, they paid the bill. And it's not even a question when you satisfy a client like that. They're just going to keep coming back to you over and over again. If I had gone to this client, or this client had come to me with this problem and said, I really don't do that. I can recommend somebody to you. That's not going to be good. You've got this, for me, a repeat client who uses me over and over again every month. I want to make sure that they're happy. And oddly enough, I was able to make them happy and at the same time make more money. And you see how wonderful that works? That's good business. They're happy to pay the money and find out the truth. I'm happy to find out the truth and get paid the money. Second case study I have for you here. Again, real ring of truth. Is it true or is it false? This was a case where a person was accused of a gross sexual imposition on a minor, a 15-year-old girl. He was a client of one of the attorneys I regularly worked for, so I ended up having to take the case. And we sit down, me and the attorney, and I read through the indictment. I hear the guy's side of the story, and he explains what it is he's dating the girl's mom. And the girl, he says, is a real wild child, goes out all hours of the night, won't mind her mother, is just heading down the wrong road. He says, I've come into the picture, and I'm the first guy who's laid down the law. I'm the first guy who's come along and said, look, there is a curfew. Look, you do have to attend school. You have to do your homework. And she's rebelling. She wants me out of the picture because I stand in the way of her doing what she wants to do. And she's done this before. The last boyfriend or stepdad, I can't remember now which, had been sexually abusing her. And she went to the police about this. The police charged the guy and he was found guilty. So while it did happen the last time, she knows she was able to get rid of the last guy like that. And now that I'm in her way, and rightly so, he would admit that this last guy was a dirtbag and this was going on, and she had it wasn't a matter of getting rid of him, it was a matter of protecting herself as a victim. But he's saying, look, now she's found that this is the way to deal with a guy in her life that she doesn't want around, who's trying to lay down the law, and she's making these accusations to me. When you read the indictment, it reads very accurate and true. When you hear, when you look at the statements and the police reports, they're all very accurate. The problem I have as an investigator is, are they accurate because it's really happening, or is it accurate because she really truly went through it before and she knows exactly what to say? Again, circumstance like this is, has a real ring of truth. It sounds extremely credible to me on both sides. How do you find out? You dig in and you do more investigation. In this case, it ended up being interviews that I was doing, and the interviews eventually led me to the bottom line truth of this. Interestingly enough, when you do this, when you go out and talk to people, even if you're just doing phone interviews, you're going to hear all kinds of crazy things. Some things you think may have fallen away back in the dark ages. One person I interviewed was telling me how wonderful this man was, and her phrase was, he doesn't need to rape people, he's good looking. Which, that's not even close to what this is about, right? That has nothing, that's not what rape is about. Rape is about power. There's all sorts of other factors. It doesn't matter how good looking the guy is. But she was still stuck in this almost caveman mentality that why would he have to rape people? He looks good, he could get sex for free. And rape is, obviously not about sex. It's about violence and power. So, during the course of the interviews, I came upon things like this, but I did manage to get a telephone interview with the victim herself, who, wisely told me, now she's talking to the defense's investigator. She shouldn't be talking to me at all from a common sense point of view. There's nothing illegal or unethical about it. And first thing she said on the phone is, they told me I'm not supposed to talk to anybody about this. And I used one of the moves I teach in my book, 51 Dirty Tricks Bad Guys Really Hate. I used a little line in there to get people talking after they say that. And, she opened up to me. She told me, and I was able to interview her. And I, asked her some questions that I could tell she hadn't been asked before. And maybe I'll do a video about that sometime, because it was very interesting the way I was able to determine that she was telling the truth. But I could tell from the interview with her that she was being truthful. I also found some other evidence as well, all of which I brought back to the attorney. And, you know, as I've talked about before, when you work criminal defense cases, you know, you lay it out for the attorney and say, you know, and the attorney just goes to the defendant and says, you know, if the prosecution knows everything that Larry knows, you're doomed. So the guy took a plea, and he ended up, I think he did 4 years in prison for that. So when a lie is the ring of truth, how do you determine what the truth is? You dig deeper. There's a couple real case studies that give you methods, including digging into court documentation, doing interviews with people to get you to that bottom line of truth. I hope this is helpful to you. If you have any questions about it, feel free to email me. Again, this is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.